This is Lab 02, Part 2, the walkthrough. Last time we ended it with this app, and now we're going to fix it. So we're going to go to our activity main XML. Here we have a problem. This is hard-coded when we should be using a string resource. So remember, we can use Alt-Enter and choose Extract String Resource. We'll call it Greeting. And therefore, it will make this greeting for us. And then to demonstrate text size changes, let's do this. I'm going to type size, and it brings up text size. Now what do I want? I'm going to change this to 30 SP. Now remember, we use SP when working with font sizes. Okay, so now let's run and observe what happens to Mom. Yay! Our text view is a lot bigger now. So the next problem we have is over here. We're passing in a string and displaying a string. Now that works, but the problem is it's not going to get translated. Anything we put in here, strings that we write in here, will not get translated by auto-translators. They only do strings in strings.xml and other files. We're going to hit Alt-Enter and we're going to use it as a string resource. This one will be called likes count. And it will say you have %1 string D. So that means I'm going to receive a number there. And there we go. What that will do is get string likes count, but we need a pass in count, not add count. It's going to take this number and pass it into this string. Because we are doing this one correctly, we should also be doing this one correctly. Again, we'll run it to verify that what we're doing does what we think it will do. You have -1 likes. You have 0 likes. The number gets put in for you. When Google Translate goes in, it translates you have likes. It doesn't translate the 5, but that number will still show up in between the text. Now, let's say we want to make our string look fancy. We'll go to strings.xml, and there's our greeting for Mom. And we'll put the sample, which is way too many things, but it's just to prove that the HTML will work. And let's run this monstrosity. Oh my gosh, look at that. The W became a subscript. The COM here, you can't really tell, but it became bigger. They're supposed to be lowercase and half the height of the L, but now they're the full height. We have underline on Mom, but we also have bold. This is bolded and underlined. And the exclamation point, we have the superscript. And then we have the /n for new line. So the dad appears on a new line from the hello. And lastly, you can see the font changes. We set this to monospace and this to serif. So you can see the differences between hello and dad. Now, to create a string array, I'm going to copy the example from the Google Developers site. It's called Planets Array, and it runs through the planets from 0 to 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. Come over here, and we'll display that. Let's comment this out, Control/. Let's go ahead and get this array first. It's an array of strings called planets, and it doesn't exist yet. So we'll come down here and do a get string array. Oh, that doesn't work. So I'll need to do a get resources. Now I can do a get string array, but it needs a parameter. Remember, you can do Control-P to say, what do you need? I need an ID number. You go r.array.planetsArray. It gets it, but what are we going to do with it? We need to put it into planets. Now we have that array in planets. And we have something called count. Let's use those two together. When this happens, we will do greeting display.setText planets at count ++. So the first one will be a 0, then it will increment to 1. but it will return the 0 first. We need to make sure that we don't go out of bounds. We're going to do a count mod equals planets.length. And because we're lazy, we're gonna copy that. We're gonna come down here, comment this out, and bam! Let's run it and see what it looks like. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Mercury, Venus, Earth. Oh no, they're both going the same direction. So let's change this to minus minus. There we go. Let's run it again. And, oh no, we crashed. I think count went negative and that did not make it happy. Let's go here and say if minus minus count, so it goes down 1, is less than 0, then count equals planets.length. So it will go down 1 and then check if it's less than 0. If it's less than 0, then it will revert back to the length. But we need to make it length minus 1, so it doesn't go out of bounds. And in this case, we will not be incrementing here anymore. Don't need to do modular division because you'll be subtracting 1 every time. Let's test it. It looks like I'm off by 1. I should go up 1. Let's find out why it doesn't work. We went out of bounds at some point. We need to check first. Next, we're going to put in a radio group. To determine if it's positive or negative, we do radio group, wrap content. And then it says, hey, there's something wrong here. Let's see what the problem is. It's not constrained. We need a place to put it. Top, bottom, left, or right. We'll put this. Top of this one will go to the bottom of button, increment button. Then left will be to the left of parent, and right will be to the right of parent. Okay, we got the group in there. We should probably set the orientation, and we'll make it horizontal. And inside the group, we'll have some radio buttons. Wrap content, and Control D will duplicate them. We'll set this ID to radio left, and we'll set this ID to radio right. Then we'll set this text to say up, and the left radio button to say down. Now we need to turn these into string resources, so we Alt-Enter. Let's name it radio label down. And we'll name this one radio label up. Alright, and we'll say the left button is chosen by default. We'll come in here, and we need 2 radio buttons, right? So let's make some radio buttons. Let's make a left radio button, as well as a right radio button. Now we need to get those buttons, so we're going to use find view by ID, r.id. Now we need the buttons, the radio buttons, we need radio left, and then we can hit Control D to duplicate the line, and just change this to right, and this to right. Now we got those 2. When we click on the increment button, we can ask, is the right radio button checked? And if it is checked, then we're going to increment. If it's not, we're not going to do anything. And down here, we can say if left radio button is checked, and we'll do the decrement. Now let's run this and see how it goes. And decrement should work. That does nothing. Let's change. That does nothing. It works! And there you go. That was Lab 02. Hopefully you learned about GUI elements, and this will help you with your lab work. What other fun stuff can you make? Thanks for watching, and happy coding!